say a special thank you to my family and friends. It means so much that you came out today. And thank you, everyone else. We are so grateful that you showed up and that we could fill this place, because we weren't sure, and we are so happy. Thank you. So I went to Usher's Past, Present, and Future tour a few months ago. I went with my friends and my sister, and I had been to an Usher concert before. 1, 2, 3, 4. Who's counting? I'm a fan. But this concert experience was different. The DJ's beats, Usher's lyrics, being in the audience, that whole experience, it was euphoric. And I felt my mind drifting back to other powerful musical experiences. You see, like when Usher started singing, DJ Got Me Falling in Love Again, and I heard those reggaeton beats, my mind went back to freshman year of college. I was with my roommate and her sister, and they were teaching me salsa. And I was stumbling like, I don't know about this. And I'm thinking in my head, why am I bothering to learn salsa? We are just completely different. They grew up in the Dominican Republic. I grew up in Chicago. They grew up in the West Side. I was in the North Side. They speak Spanish. I speak nada. But they played Keelah Cruz's La Negra Tiene Tumbao, which translates to That Black Woman's Got Style. Yeah, you all know. And you know Keelah Cruz is Afro-Cuban? So I was like, okay. So I tried again, and then my hips started moving, and I was like, I'm doing it, yeah. And then they grabbed my hands, and they twirled me around, and we were dancing full of joy. And I had never danced with anyone before full of joy. I had danced before with other people, of course. In high school, you put your hands on the shoulder, and you're going like this, like a penguin, like, yeah, I'm dancing. But this time we were twirling, coming all close, and I didn't know what was being said, but I felt that rhythm. I fell in love with Caribbean music that night. And that cemented our friendship. And we've been friends for 23 years. Then I started hearing Usher singing my song, and my mind went back to the present. I had to sing those lyrics too, just along with everyone else in the audience. And then he started singing from Climax to Burn. And these are two sad, heartbreaking songs, but I was not feeling heartbreaky when I was singing those songs and looking at Usher. And when he started talking about breaking down and crying, and I looked around and I saw this girl, and she was feeling the lyrics. She was like, oh, yes, so she was singing that song, and I was like, yeah, you've broken down and you've cried by yourself lots of times over someone to this song. But during this concert, she was all smiles. And I thought, yeah, that makes sense. Usher makes things better. Then he moved on to Yeah. You know that song. That's my club song. 20 years ago, in my 20s, I was at a house party and I was dancing to this song. My feet were squeaking because the floor's all nasty, but I was still having a good time dancing. And then in my 30s, going into the club, I had waited 45 minutes outside in the cold, outside a sound bar, and so when I got in, my friends and I, we were like, I don't care how much these feet hurt, we're gonna stay on this dance floor. We waited 45 minutes, we ain't missing anymore. And we danced all night. And then last year at 40, I went to Ecuador. I didn't know anyone in this restaurant. A couple people I just met that week. But they moved those tables aside and the band started playing salsa. I perked up. I know salsa. So I went out onto the dance floor to dance. And then I grabbed this stranger And I was just like, let's dance. And he was like, okay. And so we started dancing, and luckily he knew how to dance salsa too, and so he was twirling me. When he got tired, I was like, go sit down. And I just kept on dancing and dancing, because it didn't matter if I was dancing with someone, I was having such a good time. So I'm there in my mind listening to Yeah and feeling all these past wonderful experiences wash over me. And then I see Usher out of the corner of my eye going toward the stairs. So my mind starts coming back because I'm wondering where he's going. Then he starts going down the stairs, and I'm like, where are you going, Usher? The concert's not over. You can't leave. And then he started going down the aisle on the left side, and I'm looking at the right side like, y'all so jealous, aren't you? And then he gets back to the sound stage, and he grabs a glass of cherries. And I'm like, what you doing, Usher? Are you hungry? Do you need a little snack? Or are you thirsty? You want an old-fashioned? I like old-fashions. And he takes this glass of cherries, and he walks back down the aisle, and I'm giggling like, ha-ha, right side aisle. And then he gets to a woman, and he pulls out a cherry. I'm like, what are you doing? He holds it over her, and I'm like, oh, I know what you're doing, Usher. And she looks up at this cherry like it's $1 million. And she tries to eat it, and he pulls it back. And she tries to eat it, and he pulls it back. Finally, she gets the cherry. We're clapping and cheering like she won an Oscar. He goes around this and does this to other ladies. Finally, it gets to a woman, and it's clear she brought someone with her. So he offers the cherries to him. I grab my popcorn, imaginary, because I'm like, this is going to be good. She does not want her husband feeding her cherries. She wants Usher. And sure enough, she looked at her husband or her boyfriend or whoever like, give that to Usher. Give it to Usher. So the guy, being a good husband boyfriend, he goes to give it to Usher, and I'm like, Usher, what you gonna do now? What you gonna do? And he just shook his head like, I ain't getting in the middle of that. So reluctantly, she took that cherry, and it might have been a 25-cent cherry. It was no $1 million cherry, that's for sure. And after the concert, my friends and my sister and I, we're reminiscing, and I'm like, we are never gonna forget this concert. Never. And my sister and like, we gotta make sure we get to that next concert. He's gonna be touring again, I'm sure, next year. Let's sign up. And then in the back of my mind, I'm making a mental note to buy cherries for my anniversary. Thank you.